You're listening to a Comics XF podcast.
Matt Lazowitz, and welcome to this week's episode of Bat Chat with Matt and Will, a Batman ranking podcast, where each week my co-host Will Nevin and I dig into 3 Batman stories, discuss them, and rank them on the big board, thus creating a giant list of Batman stories from best to worst. Will, how's it going tonight?
Oh, it's not too bad, Matt. Not too bad. All done with classes. Got my grades turned in. Have almost 2 weeks of summer break, so that's exciting. Come back and teach summer classes for nickels, such as the way that things are. Definitely going to see Obsession this weekend because that looks like some fun shit. A new Neil deGrasse Tyson book came out today that I'm looking forward to. I don't know anything more than the general premise. It's called Take Me to Your Leader. It's like, what if aliens were real? What might they be like? What might we do or say or think about them? So that's exciting for me. The premise read like speculative nonfiction, and I that's a genre I really enjoy.
Interesting. Neil deGrasse Tyson is one of those people that I find fascinating because he seems to sort of relish being a professional killjoy.
That just gets you in the door, Matt. It just gets you in the door. I think inside of him there's a real joy for this and for science communication, for sure.
There is, but he does seem to really relish being a killjoy at times.
But he's charming,
He
right?
is. Oh, yeah. I'd be curious to look at that at some point because I've always sort of conceived that if we were to actually encounter sentient extraterrestrial life, it would be so different from us that we wouldn't be able to really communicate. Project Hail Mary is about the closest I could see to us interacting with another species. And even that is a little too similar to us.
Well, of course, this, like all of my good science ideas, comes from the Skeptoid podcast. But that podcast is an episode that put in an analogy that really made sense to me called the Christmas tree problem. And if you could imagine a Christmas tree with lights that are blinking, you might not have 2 lights that are both on at the same time and right next to each other. Intelligent societies would have a problem of both distance and time. As much as we both like Star Trek, the warp drive is entirely science fiction, right?
Yeah.
It is a law of the universe that you cannot go faster than light. And it's not that, oh, we just don't have the technology. You literally can't go that fast. And so we have just an immutable problem of distance. And we are on different time scales. If there is another intelligent life form out there in the universe, and there could very well be, it might have been a flourishing society 5 billion years ago, or 5 billion years from now, or 2 million for all that, all that matters. So it's not surprising that we have not seen evidence of intelligent life. And I swear, the next one of you knuckleheads that points me to one of these dumbass UFO grainy ass disclosure videos, I'm going to pop you in the mouth. It's all been explained, or all at least reasonably explained. Like, the questions in this universe are not going to be answered by some dipshit on the internet. They're going to be answered by people who have done the hard work of science and discovery, not some guy who looks at grainy videos and says with a certainty, oh, that has to be extraterrestrial life. Like, you motherfuckers make me so mad.
Just lay off Sasquatch and we're okay.
Matt, I got 2 words for Sasquatch: fossil record. But in your heart, if you want to believe in Sasquatch, who am I to say no?
My brain doesn't. My heart wants to.
Oh, absolutely. Like, it would be so nice to have just a gentle, lumbering creature of the forest who says to all of mankind, fuck you, I'm just going to be out here. I love that.
There's a reason why the poster in Fox Mulder's office isn't I believe.
I want to
I
believe.
want to believe. That is an important element of the X-Files. And I hand recorded every episode of the X-Files off of television. I was that big into the X-Files. But when the conspiracy and the aliens and everything became too real and too tactile, is when the show started to falter. The mystery of it, the wanting to believe versus having the evidence and believing, was part of what made the show work. And yes, Mulder was always theoretically right. Scully was always like, well, I didn't see it. Well, frickin' A, it was right there. How did you not see it? But still, the whole point is, if you just believe, you're the lone fucking gunman. You're not even Mulder.
And this certainly goes beyond aliens and pseudoscience and whatnot. But if we are going to survive the next, I'll just say next decade as a species, we have got to rediscover in this world of misinformation and AI and just total bullshit. We have got to rediscover some fundamental adherence to fact and logic and proof, and not just the proof that our biases want us to believe in. Like, not just, oh, I'm gonna pull the closest thing that agrees with me. Like, we have to be skeptical as a species or we're not going to survive.
You know how I get when we start talking about apocalypses.
I know, I know. I don't know how I got this fucking heavy. Oh boy. I need a good popcorn movie. Absolutely jackass. I need that. Hey, it's next month, right?
I guess Jackass was never my thing, so I'm not sure where that falls.
I
I
think it's
watched,
June.
yeah, it sounds right. I watched Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure after a busy day at work today. It was like, that's just fun.
You know, people complain about Bogus Adventure, and I don't think it was that bad.
No, I'm gonna watch that again. I'm gonna watch that again tomorrow. I got the trilogy, including the new one, on Blu-ray in a Blu-ray set.
Noise.
And neither Laura nor I have seen the third movie. So our date night on Friday is we're gonna go out, we're gonna get dinner, then we're gonna come curl up on the couch and watch the third Bill and Ted movie and see how it is.
Nice.
Yeah. So I wanted to rewatch one and two before that. So here's a weird so the Blu-ray of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure has an episode of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures, the animated series that came out, I believe, in between Excellent Adventure and Bogus Journey. Alex Winter, Keanu Reeves, and George Carlin all voice their characters from the movie in the cartoon.
It's so wild, the range of animated series you used to get.
RoboCop, Toxic Crusader, Swamp Thing, Rambo,
Star Trek.
Star Trek. Star Trek makes more sense than all these R-rated movies that they soften for kids.
There was so much RoboCop television content.
Oh, there were, I think, 3 direct-to-TV Canadian movies.
Yep.
It's crazy how much they tried to make RoboCop beyond the first. It really should have been a done in one, maybe 2.
Our good friend Frank Miller certainly had some ideas.
Oh, yes. The less said about the 2014 remake, the better.
You know, I saw it and I eventually fought with my ex-wife about it. So not good memories about that. But it had an interesting spin, right? Maybe it wasn't great in the execution, but if RoboCop was a creature of the Reagan era consumerism, at least that tried to be an artifact of the Apple shiny tech benevolent billionaires kind of consumerism that we find ourselves in now.
Yes, but it in itself was fairly toothless in that.
Oh, well, and especially as compared to the original RoboCop, which was satire from the jump.
Yes. And as one of my favorite bad movie podcasts that recently did that movie points out, the actively sad RoboCop with memories and hanging out with his family. No, RoboCop should be struggling with all of this, not hanging out with his wife and kid. It's weird.
I have already blocked that out.
Yeah.
I,
Oh yeah.
I
That's the
just
thing.
remember the scene where we lean into the body horror because of course I'm gonna remember that where they show him his bits.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that. It's just not a very good movie.
No, but they tried.
Yes, they tried, but sometimes it's better to just let something be.
Some people don't even try with their movies.
Oh yeah. You've seen Starship Troopers, right?
I have not.
Oh,
I look, I
well.
know that I need to. I need to. I need to see The Godfather, right? I need to see Starship Troopers. I
But
need to see Smokey and the Bandit for the 75th time.
listen, The Godfather is an incredible movie. It's seminal. It's one of the greatest movies of all time. But for you, Starship Troopers is a movie you should see.
I know. I love my satire. I
It,
really do.
it's delicious satire. It's the first R-rated movie I ever walked into and didn't have to be like, please don't check my ID, please don't check my ID, please don't check my ID. Because I was finally old enough to go and see an R-rated movie. And I just was like, yep, and I go. And of course no one ever asked me for an ID.
No, of course not.
I was 6 feet tall at the age of 16. Like nobody was gonna bug me. I was probably must have been 5'10" at 15. Like it was not gonna be an issue. Nobody thought I was as young as I was. But it still felt good that if they did card me, I could have just gone in to see Starship Troopers.
Neener, neener, neener. Look at my ID.
Yeah. Nowadays, you just wish someone would ask for your ID.
Hey, I know when I'm buying hooch, it's still a blessing every time. Oh, and for our non-American listeners, I always like to point this out to my students. I rarely get the opportunity to feel smart on this show because that's what Matt does here. But since we're talking about movie ratings, and since also we don't have a lot to talk about tonight, spoiler, for our non-American listeners, our film rating system and our legal system are totally separate. Our rating system has nothing to do with law. It's only industry self-regulation because the every industry we've ever had in the media has been totally afraid of government regulation, even as difficult as that would be under the First Amendment. So if you're listening to our talk about R-rated movies and checking ID, that's only industry regulations, and that surprises students sometimes. Not that my students go to see movies, in 2026. But there is no law that says you have to show your ID to get into an R-rated movie. And that's weird to think about sometimes because we think about it as such a hard and fast rule, but no, it's just the film industry and theater chains.
It's fear of public backlash. If you go back and look at the
Exactly.
Hays Code, that's all that it was. It's no different than the Comics Code Authority, only as comics are a much smaller industry than the film industry, that all faded away while the stupid rating system still exists. You get an R rating if someone smokes a cigarette on screen, for fuck's sake. A villain. Like, not a character you're supposed to look up to, but if the bad guy smokes a cigarette on screen nowadays, you get an R rating.
And that's such an interesting thing to think about, trying to engineer a better society through media controls. The First Amendment would say you absolutely can't do that. And if I knew the case law better, I can talk about California's attempt to regulate the pornography industry by requiring condoms on scene or on camera. But it's a very similar idea that we can yield a better society through media controls. I don't put much faith in social science, but I would imagine social science says it cannot be done.
Look at the difference between what could be in a PG rated movie 40 years ago and what it could be in a PG rated movie now. Ghostbusters is a PG rated movie, and every one of them motherfuckers is chain smoking.
Well, to be fair, too, I believe that was before PG-13.
I
Because
think so, but is
PG-13 was a
Temple of
later
Doom.
addition to the rating system.
The first PG-13 rated movie is Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, which is the
That sounds about
same
right.
year as Ghostbusters. So it is quite possible that, yes, Ghostbusters came out slightly earlier in the year before Temple of Doom, but Temple of Doom was why they created PG-13. It was too hard for a PG, but Spielberg fought for it not to get an R, so they created PG-13.
It's Spielberg. He gets what he wants.
There's all of those John Hughes comedies are rated PG. There's nudity, there is all sorts of stuff that you could not get away with today, but that was a PG
Oh,
rated movie.
oh, I'm pretty sure we've talked about this before, but there's a baby penis in the trailer for Superman.
No way you're getting rid of any of that today. Getting away with any of that today.
No, we have. I won't say that we become a puritanical society, but we have certainly changed our views on what acceptable sex and nudity is in mainstream media
But hey,
and even in pornography.
you can still be as violent as you want.
I cannot look at sexy GIF websites because I'm in Alabama. They are blocked here.
Huh?
Yeah.
I mean, I know on a rational level, I know this, but living in New Jersey, you can do whatever you want within logical constraints of law here.
And it's really the outcome that Alabama lawmakers knew was going to happen. If you put in a legal requirement that websites must verify identity and age, they know a lot of people are not going to go through that, and they know a lot of websites are not going to do that. So, yeah, I have a censored internet here. It's nice.
We have a First Amendment for a reason.
I wonder, can I even see OnlyFans anymore?
I doubt it.
I can at least get to OnlyFans.com. There's just not a lot on the agenda tonight, Matt. We are boy.
On top of that, we also recorded 3 days ago, so we just talked about the movies and things we've seen. So we don't even have that to fall back on or new books, 'cause I'm still reading the same book I was reading 3 days ago.
I'm getting real deep into 8 Million Ways to Die, which was the first Scudder book that I had just sort of interaction with because I read an adaptation that I think IDW did. And that was my first taste of Lawrence Block and Matthew Scudder. The book, I think, is where this series really starts to take off, because Scudder is in sort of the full blossom of his alcoholism, and he is in and out of the hospital and AA meetings while he's also trying to work a murder. That's a lot for one man to handle.
Yeah. Oh, next week, the new Lego Batman game finally drops.
Oh, Abby was already talking to me about it, and she has a plan that she wants us to play together, because she wants to get the platinum trophy, and I'm like, sweetheart, I do not have the energy for that. But she's like, oh, I'll play Dark Knight Rises if you'll play Batman 66, and I'm like, well, you do what you want. I will. Sure, I'm going to dive into that one way or another.
I pre-ordered the deluxe edition, so I get it 3 days
Ooh.
early with bonus DLC later in the year. So
Ooh.
yes, I'm
If
very
if you're
excited.
doing all of Batman, what bonus can there be?
It's a play as the Joker and Harley sequence in Arkham, I believe.
Okay. Now
Uh,
you know it gets really meta at the point when Lego does something like, "Oh, this is Lego Arkham Asylum. We're
let
adapting a video game in a video game."
Yeah, let's see. Deluxe edition PS5 Mayhem Collection includes new story mission and Mayhem mode featuring Joker and Harley, along with villains themed Sinister Pack. Breakout of Arkham Asylum as playable characters, Joker and Harley, and an all new story mission cause chaos on the streets of Gotham. Sinister Pack includes 7 suits, one Batmobile, and one Batcave prop set, and that comes out in September. Yeah, in the Arkham Trilogy pack, the Batman Beyond pack, those I get on day of launch.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that's exciting. I'm enough of a sucker to have pre-ordered the more expensive deluxe edition, but I buy so few
Hey,
video
these
games.
these mom and pop AAA video game publishers, they got to make their money somehow.
If there weren't actual like mom and pop indie video game publishers, that might have been less making me feel bad and wanting to buy someone's indie video game as well as my expensive corporate video game.
Look, here's the thing about most indie video games. They suck because they're only done by a handful of people. They have bad design or they have just bad content.
And also, I don't play video games that much because I don't have the time. So if I'm gonna play a video game, it's gotta get me like, oh, I don't know, Batman does.
Yeah.
I read plenty of indie comics. That is where I support independent art by many an independent comic.
And to any independent comic creator out there, all I would say is hire a letterer and an editor.
I was gonna say both of those is probably not a bad thing. Okay, I think we've chewed up enough time before we getting into the
Have we
actual content of
filibustered
the
this
night.
episode sufficiently?
I believe we have. Tonight, we're reading team ups between Batman and another of DC's great detectives, Ralph Dibny, the Elongated Man.
Hey Matt, would you say we stretched out the opening?
I'm not going to slow clap right into the mic, but I am giving Will a slow clap on that
Yes, I appreciate that. I'm honored.
one. Your exposure to Elongated Man is probably just Doomsday Book and Identity Crisis, right?
Yes, and I don't even remember Doomsday Book at this point.
So really
Um,
just Identity Crisis, the
yeah,
worst
and
possible place to have first really encountered Elongated Man.
yeah, interesting character, right? In the books tonight, he's basically there to be stretchy and wholesome.
He and Sue, his wife, are based on Nick and Nora Charles. Are you at all familiar with the Thin Man and the concept therein?
I'm sure we talked about this for Identity Crisis, but I do not recall.
I love The Thin Man, Dashiell Hammett's book, the movie, and any character dynamic based off of The Thin Man. The basic concept of The Thin Man is you have Nick and Nora Charles. Nora is a wealthy heiress. Nick is a PI. They get married, they solve crimes, and they drink. That is the entirety of The Thin Man, the single book. This was adapted into a film starring William Powell and Myrna Loy, and it was one of the early series of films. There are like 6 of them. The second one features a ridiculously young Jimmy Stewart as the killer. So not common to see Jimmy Stewart as the villain.
That's a short little book.
Oh yeah. The concept, these sort of gadabout, desperately in love with each other and stumbling into crime is an archetype. It's Nick and Nora Charles are the first one, but one of my favorite podcasts, The Thrilling Adventure Hour, does Frank and Sadie Doyle, who are what if they were investigating supernatural crimes and really don't want to be, but the supernatural crimes keep finding them. The Dibneys here. There's a book coming out of Ignition Press right now called The Other Half that is basically a gay Thin Man. And important to note, the Thin Man of the title is the murder victim, not Nick Charles. This is one of those Frankenstein is the name of the scientist, not the monster thing that people constantly get wrong. It's like, no, Nick Charles is not the Thin Man. The murder victim in the book is the Thin Man. But there is a Thin Man reference in one of the stories tonight. Specifically, they say Thin Man. So it's
There are
there.
a lot of thin men in the third story.
Well, yes, and that's where we'll get there because I'm really curious to talk about that third story. I think there's a little more to that than either of the others to begin with, but there's some stuff I'm curious about your reaction to. But we'll get there.
Okay.
We'll start at the very beginning, a very good place to start. Our first story of the night is Museum of Mixed Up Men. This is Detective Comics Volume 1, number 331. The writer is Gardner Fox, with pencils by Carmine Infantino, inks by Joe Giella, no colorist is credited, letters by Gaspar Saladino, and edited by Julius Schwartz. The cover date is September of 1964. A new museum in Gotham has been co-opted by crooks, allowing them to replace the rich attendees of the exhibit. After being a victim, Bruce starts looking into this as Batman, and the Elongated Man, having stumbled upon the conspiracy, teams up with the Dark Knight to stop the plot. We'll just start out, and this will carry through to the next story as well. Problematic creator watch, noted sexual harasser, Julia Schwartz.
Creep.
Yep. We are in that early to mid Silver Age where we've covered a bunch of stories, the Fox Infantino era, where we're getting fewer supervillains, we're getting more mobsters, and there's always wacky science stuff going on. Here we have a device hidden inside a camera, the electrophaseograph, that swaps the faces of one person with another, and the unwitting member of this face swap loses their memory for 12 hours.
Yes, that is what's going on here. But a real credit, we did make an actual reference to history and photography with Matthew Brady and his famous Civil War photography,
Yeah.
which I respect that. And kids of the 1960s, I hope you learned something. And I would imagine that was in there because of the 100th anniversary of the Civil War. If I
That
had
would
to
make
guess.
sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're right at that period. There's a lot of details in here that set this in a very particular moment in Batman history. We are at the point where Alfred is dead and Aunt Harriet is living with Bruce and Dick. It's the Alfred Foundation that will become the Wayne Foundation upon Alfred's resurrection.
And it's interesting that it would be the Alfred Foundation and not the Pennyworth Foundation.
Yeah. I'm sure Alfred had a last name, but they weren't expecting kids to know Pennyworth. They knew kids would remember Alfred.
Yeah.
Fun additional detail that does play into this story. Ralph Dibny, Elongated Man, is one of, if not the first superhero with no secret identity. He was known that Ralph Dibny was the Elongated Man.
But that is a point here in the story.
He had a secret identity for like 2 stories and then gave it up. Because he was introduced in The Flash as a supporting character, and then in backups in The Flash, and then in Detective. So he was the second feature in a lot of these Detective Comics issues. So this was taking the lead and the backup feature and getting a book-length story out of both of those characters meeting.
Is there any fundamental difference in the power set between Dibny and Mr. Fantastic?
Yes, in the same way there is a difference between Dibny and Plastic Man. Both Mr. Fantastic and Plastic Man's powers are more similar in that they can reshape their body. Dibny just stretches. He can't like turn himself into a lamp or a mailbox. He just stretches. While Reed
And that
Richards,
really, let's be honest, that's good enough.
for what you need to do in these stories and for what Ralph does, yeah, he can squeeze through little spaces and things like that. Speaking of the X-Files, like Eugene Victor Toombs from those couple episodes in the first season, played by also noted problematic creator Doug Hutchinson. Ooh, that was a creep. There is a difference between Plastic Man and Elongated Man in that respect. I've seen people get it wrong, where they've had Ralph do stuff like, wait, no, Ralph can't do that. I mean, he could like make himself wide, but he can't turn into stuff. That's not his power set.
It's right there in the name, Elongated Man.
Yeah. There's a great Brave and the Bold episode opening where it's Elongated Man and Plastic Man, and they're just bickering as they have to work together. It's a lot of fun. I can't remember if it was there or if it was somewhere else, but there's a scene I remember of Ralph being like, I'm both a detective and a stretchy guy. I'm like Batman and Plastic Man combined. And
Now, in the history of the character, how does he come across, or how does he come to be a detective?
he was a that's his thing. He was a detective. He was an amateur detective who discovered this. It's very, very Silver Age.
Oh, well, of course.
A soda called Gingold that
That's where it comes up in the third story. That was very confusing.
his power is based on discovering that this soda was something drunken. The
Imbibed.
conjugation of drink is one of the worst conjugations in a language with many terrible conjugations. This was something that circus performers who, could contort their bodies all drank. So he discovered that the ginga fruit had effects on certain lucky people and it gave them stretchy abilities. So between his native detective skills and discovering this, he wanted to become a superhero.
So does
And
now he just have to load up on that fruit?
yeah, basically he just drinks it constantly. And if he doesn't drink it, his power goes away. It's venom, only stretchy instead of venom.
He gets all hard like Stretch Armstrong and dries out.
Ugh. Speaking of body horror, I was about to say that's what could happen to Absolute Elongated Man, but we actually have already seen Absolute Elongated Man. Well, he's not Elongated Man, he's just Absolute Ralph Dibny in Flash, Absolute Flash.
Oh, I was like, did I read that? No, I did not read that.
No, he's an Absolute Flash. He's running a shelter for runaway kids, and Wally West is living there. And he and Sue are running the place and are a sweet, good couple. Well, we haven't seen Sue. We've only heard talk about Sue. But I'm looking forward to that. I love them. I think they are just great because they just love each other. You don't have all of the drama that you have with Bruce and Selena or even Lois and Clark. Ralph and Sue just love each other and they are better together. They mention it, I think it's in the last story, but there's a regular thing with them. Every year for Ralph's birthday, Sue makes him a bespoke mystery. And they've done tons of those stories over the years. And they're always just charming as hell.
I reckon we should get back to this one.
Yeah. And sadly, Sue is only a real factor in the last story tonight. Because the best Elongated Man stories are Ralph and Sue stories, not just Ralph stories. And here we see Sue at the beginning and at the very end, and that's really it. She is there and she takes the photo that gives him the clue that something weird is going on at the museum, and then she shows up at the end. Oh, and there is the thing we do see there where when Ralph senses a mystery, his nose starts to wiggle.
Because of course.
He's got a nose for mystery.
Ugh.
And that's not me coming up with a bit. That is right out of the comics. I'm not making that. I'm not giving you the dad pun. I'm taking the dad pun right out of the comics.
I will say this had a really cute final beat, right? The way that this phony invention works is that, yeah, as you mentioned it, if you're exposed to it, you get your face swapped and you lose your memory. And Sue has the great line at the end. This is one case that I can crack for you, or whatever she said to that effect. Like, so she's gonna fill Ralph in on everything, and that's nice for her.
Ralph has the hero moment where Bruce is, as Batman, is trapped in front of the camera. The villain Boss Baron and his guys like, we're gonna be able to tell Batman's identity because it ignores clothes and masks. It just
because of course it does.
Right. But Ralph stretches his head in front of Batman so the camera gets him and doesn't reveal Batman's identity. And then Ralph, who doesn't necessarily remember being a superhero, but Robin uses him as a jungle gym and a Stretch Armstrong to trip up Boss Baron and his guys.
Wait, so I can be a superhero?
Amnesia.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, amnesia's a weird thing in comics. I don't even want to think about amnesia stuff because it's all just, it makes your brain hurt after a while. What one remembers, what one doesn't. It's easier in the Flintstones. You just get knocked in the head by a bowling ball and suddenly you're whatever.
Mafia Don.
Yes, Mafia Don. This opens with Bruce getting his face swapped as Bruce and embezzling $500,000. It's not embezzling because he's taking it out of his private accounts and saying he was going to give it to charity, or the fake Bruce is, but instead they just take it. Here's a question.
Yes.
You might not know, and I'm when were Polaroid cameras invented? Because there is the line that Sue was taking Polaroids.
You know what? I'm going to guess that it was right about this time.
Oh, actually, 48.
48.
Polaroid created the first instant camera in 1948. So, 16 years before this? Because I would have thought it would have been right around here. myself, but I did see that and I was like, I wonder when Polaroids were invented. And I didn't look it up, and it just reminded me of it here, and I wanted to just see that.
Can you imagine having a camera and for all of your life having to get that film developed, going wherever you went to get film developed in, 1955. And then somebody comes along with a camera and it's just like, hey man, you can just take pictures now. You don't have to develop them. How wild that must have been.
Is it as seismic a change as film cameras to digital?
I don't think so because I think everybody was of the idea that, well, the Polaroids are nice, but they're not great quality.
That's true.
Because Polaroids didn't exactly replace traditional film cameras.
No, because you're right. The quality on a Polaroid was never as good as real film. And
But
again,
God, if not digital cameras having replaced everything now.
mhm. Also, it's nice in this story when Ralph first meets Batman and Robin, they don't fight.
How novel.
Yeah. Batman sees him, his long arm sneaking into the museum, and they run and they see him, and it's like, oh, wait, my friend the Flash told me about you. You're the elongated man. Boy, every now and then it's nice. And Ralph isn't I mean, he obviously will fight, but that's not his thing. He's not going in guns blazing. An intellectual. He's a detective.
And he's just going to tie somebody up in a pretzel.
Yeah, exactly. It's a light little story. I think there's fun to it, which is again what you get out of your best elongated man stories. They are little mysteries. It's not that they can't have, real stakes and darkness, but a lot of times it's a cozy mystery. I would love for us to get more Ralph and Sue in the modern DC universe, since one of the few, the good things that came out of the reshuffling of continuity is Ralph and Sue are both alive and well again in the mainstream DC universe. Leslie Tompkins isn't a killer and Sue Dibny is alive again are two things that I will take when it comes to reshuffling of continuity.
Jesus Christ. The fucking editorial man. And one of these days, Alfred will come back. One day.
He will. I maintain my faith in that. Oh, at the end of the story, after the main story is finished, there is a fun little two panels on how ballistics works.
Yeah, that was cute.
Yeah, I love that they did those back in these Silver Age Detective Comics stories. I think we can move on.
That means it's time. Detective Comics number 331, Museum of Mixed Up Man on the big board.
We are at 717 stories on the big board.
God damn.
Number 1 is Post-Crisis Origin of Batman, Batman Year 1.
Still at a sexy 69, it's Batman Annual number 4 from Volume 3 every day.
Still at 175 is Images, the Denny O'Neil, Brett Blevins retelling of the first Joker story. At 350 is Batman Chronicles 11, the Elseworlds issue with the Batman of Berlin.
Coming in real high, not nearly as close to the bottom as it once was at 420, it's Brave and the Bold, number 191. Only Angels Have Wings.
At 525 is Polar Opposites, the Gotham Adventures Mr. Freeze issue. And all the way at the bottom, it's Three Jokers.
Ooh, boy, what a dog turd of a story. Just double bag that sumbitch and throw it in the dumpster.
We're in Trifle Town here.
Yeah, but a solid quality trifle. This was fun.
Yeah, same creative team did 579 Weather Wizards Triple Treasure Thefts from a few weeks ago. I think I'd move up from there.
Yeah.
Listen, I know Elongated Man is not an A-list character, but he's a character I really like, and a character I think plays off of Batman in interesting ways. I wish there were more stories of the two of them working together. I'm trying to find like a definite ceiling.
Maybe Luther, You Driving Me Sane at 507?
Yeah, I was going to say I don't think it makes it out of the 500s. So yeah, I agree.
Probably Man Bat at 511. Probably The Cat at 512. How about The Ballad of Joe Coyne at 518?
I was going to say, I'm looking at that because I think we actually go above that because as much as we enjoy Joe Coyne and all that, Ralph Dibny meeting Batman probably has a little more historical significance. The first appearance of the penny is more significant than the first appearance of Joe Coyne.
How about the new 517 then, right under Superstition Murders, above
Sound,
Batman Beyond?
sounds good. Our second story of the night is Z, as in Zatanna, and Zero Hour. This is Justice League of America, Volume 1, number 51. The writer is Gardner Fox, with pencils by Mike Sekowsky, inks by Sid Green, letters by Gaspar Saladino, and edited by Julia Schwartz. The cover date is February of 1967. Zatanna summons members of the Justice League, as well as the Elongated Man, to thank them for helping her reunite with her father. The only problem? None of them remember this happening.
What a weird little setup for a story.
It's wild. And this is, as far as I can tell, I'm sure this has existed for years and on end, even in comics at this point. This is one of the first times I feel like there is a conscious retcon of a story. Because the story that is referenced where Zatanna meets Batman before this as this witch, that was not intended as a Zatanna story at all.
No,
That
of course not.
absolutely felt like we want to get Batman or Superman in this story. How can we do that? Oh, right. There was that story where Batman fought a witch. Let's say that witch was Zatanna. Which, by the way, I've created an episode around 3 Zatanna stories not written by Paul Dini, and that is one of them.
Good.
There, sadly, as I said, aren't a ton of Batman Elongated Man stories, and a lot of them would qualify as them both being on the Justice League. Because while Ralph isn't on the Justice League at this point, he would be a member of the League for a good amount of time. He has a decent length tenure on the League. So a lot of times I could have just done a random Justice League story. But this one struck me as a good choice because A, it's Ralph's first encounter with the League. He and Batman interact. And it's the end of this series of stories that went through the DC universe that introduced Zatanna. She appeared in an issue of The Atom, an issue of Hawkman, an issue of Green Lantern, one of the Elongated Man backups. And then it all came to a head here in this issue of Justice League.
So you're saying this was a crossover event, Matt?
Back before we had the words for it, yes. No matter what some people want you to believe, crossover events were not introduced in the mid 80s. They were always a thing in comics. They just didn't make as big a deal about it back then as they did now.
They have always wanted you to read more than the 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 books you've been reading.
Yes, indeed. It's fascinating to read this, knowing how over the years Batman's history with Zatanna has expanded and become this whole thing connecting them from their childhoods. And here, no, he had no idea who she was. They
Nope.
never met. Zatara was not at all one of Bruce's teachers. Zatanna's daddy issues remain to this day as a thing.
I am going to say, very interesting character posing in that final panel.
Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one who saw that and was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's
That's not really the way we platonically touch our daughter.
no. That panel made me think, ooh, Mike Sekowsky, I gotta look this guy up, and I didn't because it really doesn't matter. Did this guy do romance comics and only had so many poses he did, and thus put them in a loving embrace that is not a paternal one? Because
Yeah.
there is some most assuredly Electra complex stuff in that last panel that I would rather not think about when it comes to Zatanna and Zatara.
You're not totally crazy, Matt.
Okay, I'm glad. I mean, as I said to someone at work today, oh, when I said, oh, maybe this is something, or maybe I'm crazy. Like, you're not crazy. Like, oh, I am, just not about that. I have any number of diagnosed mental disorders. I would never call anyone else crazy. It's not a good word. It is a word that would probably be better to be removed from the general and my vocabulary, but I will call myself that because it's a way that I help maintain my own mental balance about things. But here, the story we are talking about winds up being one of these kooky 60s Justice League stories. Justice League was a wild book in the 60s.
So I don't know if we've hit this as hard as we could have, but I'll spell it out now. The main strangeness of this story is that as you mentioned, Zatanna like calls all of these people to thank them for helping her reunite with her father, but it turns out she just conjured projections of them to help. And so you have Batman and Elongated Man and Green Lantern and Atom fighting alongside Zatanna, but they're just fictional versions of these characters.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, and I don't know entirely why Gardner Fox decided to go that way as opposed to just saying, hey, the Justice League is teaming up with Zatanna to help her find her dad. But I guess it's a thing. What confused me most is the whole thing with Hal Jordan's ring. Listen, the yellow impurity is kind of ridiculous and is something that I am perfectly happy that the Green Lantern books of the past 30-ish years have gotten rid of. The idea that the clanging of these bells are the aural, AURAL, equivalent of the same frequency as the visual frequency of the color yellow is weird to begin with. But what really makes me scratch my head is why. It has no bearing on the story whatsoever.
It could have just been easier that Hal Jordan was not actually the real Hal Jordan. And you can't magic up a Green Lantern ring, which I guess you can.
If you're Zatanna, apparently you can.
But were they also fighting in some kind of weird pocket universe?
Yes, that seemed to be the other thing, that we are dealing with an alternate universe somewhere else in the multiverse. Because, long story short, Zatara was cursed by an evil elemental that he could never see or talk to his daughter again, or they would both die. So he went on a quest through the multiverse to find a good version of this elemental to defeat the evil version, but they couldn't leave her alternate universe. And so they had to wait for the evil version to come hunting him down, which she does by possessing Zatanna. Sort of. She's in her body, but she's not really controlling her.
Sword of.
So well.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, because Zatanna removed her from a sword in which Zatara trapped her. And Zatara then starts going out of his way to attempt to exorcise her out of Z by using a bell, book, and candle. It's all very Silver Age. It's all weird and over the top. And that last panel aside, Sikowski does a really good job on the art. I like all the creatures and the assault by the ancient Egyptian soldiers and chariots and things that Zatara sent to keep Z from getting closer to him, using a projection of his rival Amenhotep. Fact that I don't know because I don't think we've on this show ever really done a story that has Zatara in it. We've done plenty with Zatanna. He predates Batman. Zatara made his first appearance in Action Comics #1, same comic as Superman.
I do remember reading and talking about how Stephen King was a Zatara fan.
Speaking of writers who could write Zatanna who aren't Paul Dini, I would love to see Stephen King write a Zatanna story.
Oh, that would be fun.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Some kind of weird, kind of needful things twist to it.
I would love to see. I mean, the Dark Tower is all about a multiverse. Could you imagine Roland Deschain pops out in the DC universe and encounters Zatanna? That'd be fun.
Speaking of multiverses, the one we had announced this week. What do you think about the Midnight, the plans for that?
We have solid creative teams. I mean, I think Hickman, Percy, Johnson, all good writers. I'm curious about Hickman's X-Men book. I'll probably read review copies on them. I don't know why Marvel just didn't keep the Ultimate Universe going. It just seems like Marvel's love of reboots and number ones coming to the fore again. And
And a real thirst for copying Absolute.
yes, that as well. Yeah, this is clearly like, oh, this dark universe that DC is doing, that's doing well, so let's do it. Except feels like you're missing the point of Absolute, that there is a grounding in reality, in, the fact that all the villains in Absolute are corrupt billionaires. There is a certain grounding there, in that the whole thing in the Absolute universe is that it is this dark, theoretically hopeless universe that the heroes are fighting their damnedest to instill or inspire hope in this universe. And I don't get that impression from Midnight.
No, it does seem very grimdark and very spooky dark,
Yes,
which it might be a winning combination.
we've only done, I think, one other Justice League story from the early Justice League, and that was still a couple of years after this one. This is how all these stories were. It's this, let's cobble together some of the, if not all of the members of the Justice League, and throw them into an unusual scenario that not all of their powers or their normal shtick would work on. So now they have to work together. I do like that Batman is the one who figures out what's going on, that he remains the detective throughout.
Mental projection of Batman.
Mental projection of Batman. That he's like, wait, no, let them take Zatanna. Like, what are you talking about? No, see, bell, book, and candle. It's an exorcism.
Yeah. Duh, you dummies.
Yeah, it's a story. It's fine. I think I don't think we have a lot more to say on this one. I think the last story is the one where we're going to have the most stuff.
It's got the most matches Malone for
It
sure.
does.
But that's the next story. To get there, first, it's time. But Justice League of America number 51, Z as in Zatanna and Zero Hour on the big board.
I'm going to start off. The ceiling is 544 because
Okay.
that's the Snapper car, the Super Trader, the other Justice League one we've covered. That certainly has more Batman. It's got Joker. It's more significant. Yeah, I guess this is Zatanna's first meeting with the Justice League and her first meeting with Batman. But again, we're in Trifle Town on this one too.
I would say this stays in the 500s.
Oh yeah. By 600, we're not in problematic territory, but there's stuff in these stories that isn't great. This one's fun. Not as fun as the last one, but it's got its charm.
I'd probably put this above Batman Damned at 586 and probably above Bouncing Baby Boy at 583.
I think I would probably go no higher than 566, the original Monster Men story. 572, Leaves of Grass, Jason Woodrue wants to get Gotham high. I love that there are certain stories that when we're going through the list, like these are the spaces we go, and we kind of go above or below these before we find the exact spot.
How about 574, Under Shaman?
Yeah, sounds good.
Little respect and love for first arc of Legends of the Dark Knight, even as fucked up as it is. Look, just don't commit cultural appropriation and you'll be fine. But I want to do the cultural appropriation.
And our final story of the night is Rubber Soul. This is Batman Gotham Knights, number 41. The writer is Scott Beatty, with art by Toby Cypress, colors by Noel Giddings and Wildstorm Effects, letters by Janice Chang, and edited by Matt Idelson and Nachi Castro. The cover date is July of 2003. A new party drug, elastics, is loose on the streets of Gotham. Batman believes the root of the drug to be Gingold, the tonic that grants Elongated Man his powers, so Matches Malone reaches out to Ralph and Sue Dibny to help him bring down the drug ring. So I was curious about your take and reaction to this story because this has both something you love and something that tends to frustrate you quite a bit.
I'm gonna guess the frustrating part is the art.
Yes, the fact that we are so far outside house style with Toby Cypress's art here.
You know, this is me judging a book by the by its cover. There is something about being on a mini series or a secondary or maybe even tertiary book where it doesn't bother me. If this was Batman 789 and I'm looking at this and it's an action scene or it's something where I would want house style, maybe I would be frustrated. This is not really a traditional story. This is not something with a lot of fisticuffs or action. I think for being a weird little one-off, I think the style works.
I agree. I'm not a huge fan of Toby Cypress, but I don't dislike him. It's a very stylized art. But I think for the quirkiness of this story, it works. The thing that I thought that you would really enjoy about the story is that it's a Matches Malone story.
Oh, well, of course, Matthew.
Batman is Matches Malone for 75% of this story.
This might, as far as a matches to Batman ratio, this might be one of the higher matches stories we've gotten.
Oh, yeah. He goes to meet Ralph and Sue at Sue's book signing, which she's writing mystery novels now, at a mystery bookstore in Gotham, and he is Matches until 3 pages from the end of this story. Only when they have finally found where the drug lab is does he don the Batman costume. But he is flat out Matches and being Matches to the absolute top of being Matches Malone in this story.
Boyo.
Yeah. Talking to Tim on the phone and Tim saying, Alvin Draper, which was Tim's equivalent of Matches Malone, he can be your cousin from out of town. He can be down there right now. Nah, go. You take care of the limey. In the main thrust, not in these little one-offs, there's a whole thing going on with Alfred being sick in Gotham Knights at this point. That's when he says, I can deal with the Thin Man and the skirt myself. Calling a woman a skirt is very Matches Malone, but addressing Ralph as the Thin Man is, again, a reference to the fact that the Thin Man inspired the dynamic between Ralph and Sue. It's not a fill-in issue, because it is by the regular writer of the book, and there are the subplots that are carrying through, but it is a pretty self-contained story, except for maybe the first page and the last page where they reference the things going on in Gotham Knights. And I love the dynamic here. We do see Ralph and Sue as equals, that they love each other, and it's not like by this point we're far enough out of the 60s where it's not about Sue being the doting wife. No, she is there solving along with Ralph. And I love that she gives Batman lip. And I love that at the end when they're dealing with some of the criminals and they're shooting and the bullets hit the cars she's in, he let that happen. He did that because I figured something out before he did. But Ralph's response to that being, oh, that would require a sense of humor. And Batman doesn't have one of those.
No, of course not. Batman should always be given lip.
Oh, yeah. Because people cowering and deferring to Batman isn't as fun.
No, it's not.
A lot of characters shouldn't, but there should be more characters who are willing to do the Leslie Tompkins, Amanda Waller, Lois Lane thing. Ladies should always be giving Batman lip. Sue is great for that. I love them sitting and eating and like, I can't believe you're Batman. Quiet and eat. Okay, there it is. Scott Beatty is another one of these writers who his run on Gotham Knights is often sort of looked down on. Gotham Knights is the sad stepchild that took the place of Shadow of the Bat, which is a considerably better regarded series. But I still think there's some good in Gotham Knights until you get to issue 50 and after, and it becomes the sequel to Hush book. That's not good stuff.
Ugh. The
But
sequel to Hush that the Hush people don't even acknowledge.
right, that not even Paul Dini acknowledged after.
You still think Hush 2's coming out, Matthew?
I do. It's still on the schedule for 2 weeks.
We're gonna have to cover it when it comes out, if only to say that we covered it and that it came out.
Yes. This is a mystery, more so than the first story, which it's a mystery in that it's a mystery to the characters, but to us, it's not a mystery because we know what's going on. But
And it's one that Sue figures out.
yeah, here it's okay, we got to go to the club and figure out how the drug is being distributed. And it's being distributed through the hand stamps at the club. And Sue figures it out. And I love it. She's sitting there while Ralph and Bruce are fighting with DJs and bouncers. She's just looking and she figures it out. I think I might have used this word earlier, but for me, this story really qualifies as charming. I love the dynamic. I love so much Matches Malone. And it works really well to put Matches, who is this slick sort of 50s gangster archetype, with this slightly earlier, 30s, 40s gentleman and lady detective archetype. They play off each other really well. I kind of wish this had been a couple issues.
Oh, yes. Seeing the drug get distributed around Gotham, feeling certainly that it had something to do with maybe whatever makes Elongated Man tick, Batman making the call, Batman deciding this is one for Matches.
A little more time for Ralph and Sue to do stuff, a little more time to make us care about our villains isn't the right word because they're drug dealing scum who experiment on cats and dogs with their drugs so they deserve whatever they get.
I think we could have very much had a beat of Sue being like, look, I'm not going to rearrange the book tour. We're going to go where we're going to go, and he can meet us somewhere. Just being totally unimpressed, not mean about it, but just not, not enthralled by the Batman.
She's been here. She's done that. She was during the Justice League Europe period when Ralph was in the jail. She ran the day-to-day administration of the League embassy. She's been around superheroes forever. She doesn't care.
He can come and you can talk to him, but he has to buy a book.
He can afford it.
This is how we're going to break into the biz, Matt. We're going to write a Ralph and Sue book.
Oh, that's another example of the Thin Man dynamic. Mike Barr's Maze Agency, another book that did that. But you give me a Ralph and Sue Dibny book where I can do 1 to 2 issue Playfair mysteries. I would read it. I would try to write the hell out of that. It would be very difficult because there is nothing harder to write than a Playfair mystery. But I would give it my all.
By God, you would.
I did get a little bit confused at the very end when one of the dealers, Batman and Elongated Man, are in there and they're breaking up the lab. And the one guy runs into the bathroom to dump the drugs, and I guess his buddy has clogged the toilet.
I assumed that he had himself melted.
Yeah. The guy at the end tries to drink all the drugs down himself and then goes warp.
Yeah.
But I couldn't figure out everything that was going on there. And I don't know if that was Cypress's art or if the script itself wasn't very clear. But I was a little bit confused as to what was going on in that scene by the end.
Yeah, I also was confused, but I chalked it up to he's some kind of goop.
He's become a goop man. Because I guess we didn't say it. So this drug does do it, for most people it just gives you a high, but if the batch is bad, you basically just sort of melt into stretchy nothingness. And I believe one of the guys, the dealer's like, We got to make sure that we're not having any more of our customers poured into coffins. And they're not like Clayface, like just a glob. They're just stretched out and can't unstretch. Which is why Batman goes to Elongated Man, because he's thinking that it might have to do with the Jingold. But as Ralph points out, the soda itself has been taken off the market because a small number of people get stretchy powers. The other people just get hives. And the fruit itself is a closely guarded secret. So these guys couldn't be using it. And so initially Bruce is like, okay, good. Thanks I'll pay for dinner. They're like, no, you got us into this. You don't try to give Ralph Dibny a mystery and then take it away. That does not happen. I think there is some fun art in here. I love not quite the opening, but the bit in the bookstore where after Matches cuts the line and throws them the matchbook with the Batman symbol on it, you see through the bookstore as Ralph stretches his head after Bruce, and you see him all elongated through the bookstore. It's a fun little layout.
Yes.
As you said, I think while the art is not necessarily to my taste, I think it works for the story.
It really works in the club.
Yes. And it works with the people who are all melty. Cypress makes that look weird and alien in a way that I thought really worked.
Yes.
And there's also a really nice character moment where Matches, Sue, and Ralph are in the car, and Bruce seems to be gently apologizing for the League having Plastic Man on the team and not Ralph right now. And Bruce be like, you are a more incisive thinker than Plastic Man. You don't have to apologize. You call me when you need me. I like my life. Removing the worst parts of Identity Crisis, the fridging, the sexual violence, which, you can't, it's intrinsic to the story, but still, the fact that you use Ralph and Sue Dibny for that, these two characters who are so defined by their relationship to each other, is just mean. And yes, if it were other characters, that last page where Ralph is talking to Sue, even though she's gone, it wouldn't hit as hard if it were other characters. That still doesn't mean you should do it.
How many times have I said on this show, Matt Stone, Trey Parker didn't have to take Mr. Hanky and turn him into a literal racist shit in response to, Roseanne, that 1 week that she, blew up. It's just a mean thing to do.
Yeah. I am glad that even though we don't see them much, that Ralph and Sue are once again both alive and both happy in the DC universe.
Identity Crisis. Bad.
Yeah. I think we can wrap this up.
Oh, that means it's time for Batman Gotham Knights number 41, Rubber Soul on the big board.
So for me, this was story of the night.
Yeah, I think we can say that.
We're probably above 500, but I don't think we're that far above 500.
Let's see if we can find us a ceiling here. Madman Across the Water, 451.
Yeah, exactly. I was looking. We're not above Joker's utility belt at 452. Joker's boner at 456.
Yes.
I'm giving you the Sophie's choice here because we have two of your favorite things. One story is full of dick jokes. The other story is full of Matches Malone.
I know, right? I think we can bump Joker's boner down. New 456. How's that?
Yeah, I think that's a good spot. And that does it for tonight. Next week, it's our annual Pride episode, so we're focusing on stories of queer characters in the Batman universe. Remember, you can support the podcast on Patreon at patreon.com/batchatwithmattandwill, where you can get shout-outs, bonus content, pick a story, and even come on the show. We'd like to thank those Patreon backers: Dan Grote, Josh Wheel, Mrs. Abigail Hartbaum, Asma Fangirl, Tony Thornley,
Go Aggies,
Sam Hopper,
go to bed, Sam. It is so late.
John Wickham,
John, you beautiful, beautiful bubby, you.
Tim Rooney, Giorgio Sergioli, David Wheel,
World's Greatest Grey Belt,
Alexander Wheel, Matt McThorne,
McThorny,
Dan Offer,
Danny boy, the pipes are calling.
Nate Randell, Daniel Mosley, Ross Holmes,
Mr. Randomace.
Will Crisp,
Me, compadre, it was so nice running with you Tuesday morning. That was a great time. And I love Ryder. His poops are a nice break on the run.
Carlos Cordova, Jordan Jennings, Charlie Etheridge Nunn, Sean Shambly, The Final Wraith,
The scariest race.
Kyle Still,
Still the one.
and Carolyn Smith.
Sweet Caroline. Ba,
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 ba, ba.
ba.
For their support. This show is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music/Audible, YouTube Music, Podbean, and on comicsxf.com, where new episodes drop every Thursday. You can find me on Blue Sky, where I talk about comics and other random things, and Letterboxd, where I review all the movies I watch, both at MattLaz1013.
Oh, and you can find me at all the places at Will Nevin. During this show, I bought The Thin Man. It's only like $6 on Kindle. It's only 117 pages or so. I think I can knock that out by the next show. Maybe not by the bonus episode, but I think in a week I can take care of that. We'll give a book report here because it sounds fun as hell. I love my detective novels. But yeah, I think I'm gonna get something to drink and then I'm gonna go to bed. Good night, Denver.
And be sure to visit ComicsXF at comicsxf.com or ComicsXF on Blue Sky for our weekly Friday Bat Chat roundup of new Bat books. For my other show, the ComicsXF Interview Podcast, where my longtime best friend Dan Grote and I interview comics creators, retailers, publishers, journalists, and other related tradespeople, as well as all the other stuff Will and I are writing. And stay safe out there, folks. Gotham is not a place to be after dark.